Decorating Center. Stop in today. And a good morning. Welcome to hour number 2 of the Art Lewis Show. Coming up this weekend and next at the Bay City Players is Jekyll and Hyde. We're going to talk about it this morning with the man directing it, and he is Bill Anderson Jr. Bill, good morning to you.
Hey, Art, how are you doing?
Doing well. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, actually, just sitting here playing with some dry ice for the show.
Wait, you're playing with, part of the effects of the show, I assume?
Yeah, just seeing how it's going to work on our lab table. Excited.
Yeah, well, just be careful. That's dangerous stuff you're playing with.
Right. Yeah, I got my gloves on.
Well, let's talk about, I got a number of things to talk about. Well, let's start with Jekyll and Hyde. What got you into it?
Well, actually, I was 16 years old when the Broadway cast recording came out, so it's kind of like right at the start of my theater obsession. So it's just been a show, a soundtrack that I've listened to. It's kind of like been the soundtrack to my, young adulthood, and just listened to it over and over and fell in love with the songs. And so it's always been a show that I've wanted to do. And the times that it had been around the area, I just wasn't able to do it. And so I was so excited when I heard that Bay City was doing it, because I haven't seen anyone produce it in over a decade. And so I just had to jump at the chance to be able to tell this story that I've loved for so long.
This is not an easy show, is it?
No. Frank Wildhorn is the composer, and Frank, it's a sweeping score, right? Lots of big sweeping ballads and these really great driving medleys that the ensemble gets to sing. And so it really takes so much coordination of music and staging, and then the tech elements as well, that just make it a little bit more unique than, let's say, in Oklahoma, for example.
Yeah, but everybody can walk away from Oklahoma singing it. I don't know that you can do that with Jekyll and Hyde. Well, maybe one or two pieces.
Yeah, there's a couple that you definitely recognize, especially if you're a David Hasselhoff fan, as he did sing a lot of them when he played the role on Broadway.
Yeah. So how big a cast are we talking about?
So I have a cast of 16 for this show.
Oh, wow.
A larger cast, but also, a cast that gets to do a lot within the show. There's only 5 people that play one character. The rest of them are all playing multiple characters throughout the show. So keeps them really busy.
And so which characters are the 5 playing?
So Jekyll and Hyde is played by the same person. And then there's 2 love interests, Lucy and Emma. So those are 2 additional characters. Then there's also his best friend, John, and Emma's father, Danvers. So those 5 are the characters that just play that character throughout the show.
And when is the production?
The production starts on Friday, the 24th, and it runs Friday, Saturday, Sunday this weekend, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday next weekend. So ends on August 2nd.
Are the Sunday performances matinees?
They are indeed, yep. And those are at 3 p.m.
3 p.m. So 7:30 p.m. on the Fridays and Saturdays, and 3 p.m. on the Sundays.
Yep.
And tickets are available, I assume.
Yes, tickets are available at baycityplayers.org. It's a great way to purchase, or you can call the box office as well of Bay City Players to purchase those tickets.
How long a show is it?
The show's running. Last night was our first dress rehearsal, so got to get a good sense of how long it's going to be, and it's usually it's about 2.5 hours with intermission. So it's about
a pretty healthy show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The first act is definitely longer than the second act, but none of them are, let's say, egregiously long.
So who's playing the lead character?
So our the person playing our lead character is Kyler Searing. He has been on stage a ton in the Great Lakes Bay area. If you saw Drowsy Chaperone in Midland this last spring, he played Aldolfo. He also was in Bay City Players' production of Anastasia. So definitely a familiar face, but more notably a familiar voice. He has an incredible instrument. that he uses a lot in this show. But the thing I always joke about with Tyler is he doesn't need a microphone. He can fill the space. The orchestra is no problem. He really does an incredible job with this humongous role. It is one of the biggest roles in musical theater, and he's just a pro. I'm so grateful to have him on board for this.
Yeah, it is. It's a difficult role because it's lengthy, probably the highest percentage of stage time for an individual other than a solo act, so to speak.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, it's a tough road to hoe. How long did you have? How long did you have to rehearse this one?
So we started at the beginning of June. So we auditioned in early May, and then just to kind of get ahead of the summer schedules and stuff like that. And so then we started rehearsals at the beginning of June, and we rehearsed for 8 weeks, but with about a week off for the holiday, the 4th of July holiday. So, all in all, a production like this is anywhere between 25 and 30 rehearsals typically.
Yeah, and it's a lot of changes as you go.
Oh my gosh, yeah, definitely. Have to be able to roll with the punches, especially when you start adding in tech and orchestra and costumes. And I always joke as a director, you just have to be okay with your vision shifting sometimes, Yeah, what hills do you want to choose to die on?
What drug you into directing as opposed to being on stage?
Gosh, yeah. I mean, I grew up doing theater here in Midland and in Bay City. And I would say once I got into my 20s, I realized I started to kind of realize I had a point of view, that I really enjoyed being on stage, and I still do. I just got to play Man in Chair and Drowsy Chaperone, and that was a dream role I've always wanted to play. And so I was excited to get to do that. But there was something about being able to bring everybody together to tell a story. And it's a different sense of gratification that you get. For me, one of my last shows I did, I moved back to Midland recently. I was in Grand Rapids for 4 years, and I directed Kinky Boots at Grand Rapids Civic, which was just a dream to get to do that before I moved back. And one of the things I loved about that show in particular, that theater, was there are spaces that as a director, I could sit and watch the audience during the show. And that is so fun to get to see their surprise or their reactions to, certain things happening on stage. And so I definitely think you'll probably find me with Jekyll and Hyde standing in the back and watching the audience reaction more than the actual stage stuff. Because I just love seeing how our storytelling is affecting the audience. And so once I started to I think what it was I realized that I would be in rehearsal and I'd be like, well, what if we tried this, and then when we get to performances and this thing that I suggested got great, reception or feedback, I'd be like, maybe I have something to offer in the directing space.
I've always thought that the best directors come from the acting field because they understand both sides of the stage.
Yeah. I think you definitely have to understand what you're asking people to do. And at the same time, it's also important that you do understand all the technical elements. Now, I always joke costumes is my blind spot. So I always make sure I have a really great costume designer because they could be wearing paper sacks as long as they are giving me a performance I'm looking for. I'm thrilled, right? I don't pay attention to that as much. So it's also about building a really great team. So for me, having Alex Jabowski on lights, Caleb Hopper on sound, Adina Danner on costumes, Kelly Brewer on props, right? Having all of these people around me that want the show to be as good as I want it to be, and are at the top of their craft is so important to me. And that's not even including Jim Renfer as my music director or Kelly Jolly as my choreographer, as my core team of collaborators.
All right, hang on. I want to take a break, and we'll come back and talk a little more. Talking to Bill Anderson Jr., he's directing Jekyll and Hyde at the Bay City Players this weekend and next.
Beautiful new floors.
All right, back with you here on the Art Lewis Show. We're talking to Bill Anderson Jr.
Sean Hannity, weekdays at 3.
He is he is directing the upcoming production of Jekyll and Hyde at the Bay City Players this weekend and next. And we should point out, too, that the Bay City Players, Bill, is the oldest, the longest continuously operating community theater in the state of Michigan. 109 years.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
Neither of us were there to see the beginning.
No.
And I'm a lot older than you are. What sustains, what keeps Bay City Players going? Why do you think it has that history?
It's so interesting because I've now gotten to work in community theaters across the state, and I do a lot of work with the American Association of Community Theaters. So I do some workshops and adjudicating and things like that. And what I find is that these theaters, a lot of the community theaters, just grassroots. It's boots on ground. People are there to get the job done. And even in some cases, when someone has to back out, for example, we had just someone unforeseen circumstance not able to do the hair and makeup for our show. And people just step up to fill in and help out and help make the show a success, And so I think really what you can credit Bay City Players' success to the dedication of their volunteers, and just that desire to keep the art form alive and to make sure it's available to the community. Of course, you wouldn't be anywhere without your audience, so that's also important. But Bay City Players has been a staple in the Great Lakes Bay region for, like I said, 109 years now. And I think so much of that is due to the dedication, the heart, the love that's given to the organization by their volunteers.
Yeah, I look at the historical show list. I don't recognize any of them. Like, there were 2 productions in 1917 when they got started.
Yeah.
First thing they ever did was the 12-pound note. You didn't direct that, huh?
Nope. Don't know that one.
The next one was Riders to the Sea. That was the 2 shows. Excuse me.
I would be really interested to. Yeah, I'd be really interested to know what those are like.
And let's see, in 1921 and 22, they expanded to 6 productions. Everybody's Husband, 3 Pills in a Bottle, 2 Slatterns and a King, The Bow of Bath, Husbands, and Philanthropy. They had some big seasons, though. When you get down to like 1929 and 30, they did 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 16 productions that year.
Yeah.
None of which I recognized.
Yeah. It's really fun because you can just go to their website, right? It's all there on that
it's all there.
tab on their website.
It's all there. The entire history of the theater and everything they've produced is right there. And of course, over the years, the building and the stage and the auditorium and everything have been revamped. And it turns out it happens to be a very beautiful theater.
It is. They've done such a great job.
Easy to direct in that theater?
Yeah, and especially this one because we got to be on stage the entire time because we're not competing with any other shows, over the summer. So it was really nice to get to be in the space and again, that when I talk about those dedicated volunteers, like everybody was willing to jump in and help out. So if it was like, oh, we need a Bluetooth speaker for tonight's rehearsal or whatever, I didn't have to worry about it all having to be on my shoulders, which sometimes you do, and it's just so nice to like have that group of people to reach out to be like, how can we get this done today? Things like getting the set built, we got a lot of those pieces really early so that we could start working with them since we were on stage the whole time. So it was really helpful.
When you do a show like this, do you look at other productions of it, or do you start with a blank piece of paper?
So Jekyll and Hyde, I never saw the original Broadway show, and I'm sure I could find a bootleg somewhere online if I wanted to, watch it. But I'm also I also know we're in Bay City, not Broadway, so let's be realistic about what we're actually able to accomplish. We don't have moving set pieces, meaning electric, tracks for the set to come on and off stage and da da da. We're not going to have, you know, this huge kind of like laboratory set. You know, we have to do with what we have. And so for me, I really like to use pieces to, you know, kind of suggest location and utilize, you know, pieces in different ways. So a staircase or a bridge, for example, with Jekyll and Hyde that moves up and down stage, so it kind of makes the space look different, adds a little height. You know, we could get people up on the bridge, it adds a little height to the set. So, you know, I like to kind of put my own spin on it. I also read the text. What do I need, you know, based on what the script is providing, and then, you know, how do I want to tell the story from there? So I don't know. A really good example would be Shrek. I directed Shrek the musical, big technical, you know, show.
Oh, yeah.
And I couldn't figure out how to do one of the transitions at the end, like, because Fiona turns into the ogre, but she's got to have time. She's got to be out there, but then have time to get all the green on and all that. So I'm like trying to figure out how to do it. And I just finally watched a bootleg. Like, how did somebody figure this out? I can't, you know, so I'm not going to be like too proud, you know, to like.
Yeah. I should have told you to call Brian Darcy James. He did Shrek on Broadway. He could have told you.
Yeah, I did tweet him, you know, back in the day when we did it. And I was like, hey, you're going to be at auditions this weekend, you know. He liked it, and so I felt really cool. But they had something out there that kind of helped explain how to do it. So again, I'm not going to like be all too proud to ask for help or ask for suggestions or look and see how something was done if it's something I can't figure out. But I do like to kind of take a stab at it myself first, you know.
How dedicated are you to the author's notes on how to do it?
No, if the author, like, if I go back to Kinky Boots, they were very specific about certain roles and how they should be cast and da-da-da. So, of course, I'm going to honor that if the author takes the time to write that out, you know. But when it gives, like, stage directions in there, I tend to not look at them. Sometimes that bites me. Sometimes it's like, oh, if I just would have read that, I would have understood what they were trying to do here. But I also, again, I try to just let the text speak to me. The thing I always honor when it comes to what the author does are the words on the page.
Yeah.
So if an actor or a character is saying it, that is their art. It's not up to me to change that or make it easier, you know, by changing it. So I always honor that part of it. But what's in parentheses, that's suggestive.
I got to tell you exactly, and I'll tell you my story about that. I've done love letters twice.
Oh, nice.
And both times with the actresses that I worked with. One was been on stage a long time, Ann Latinsky, and the other was with Carol Cottrell, who was a former mayor of Saginaw.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, in love letters, you read the notes, and it wants you to do it dry, straight read, no emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Not going to happen. It didn't happen.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, we decided before we ever went on that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, the last thing I would ever use to describe Ann Russell Latinsky on stage is dry.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
but it was, you know, and it's one of the best things to do if you don't have any time, but you want to be on stage, because it's a read. Yeah. It's literally a read, and you know, one rehearsal and you're done. It was
right.
Exactly. It was a fundraiser for Pit and Balcony at the time, so it was a good deal. It was fun to do.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I would do it again. It was just a great piece, you know.
Oh, yeah. And it's like you said, you can do it with other people. It kind of changes the dynamic when you switch around. I've seen it done where they'll have like 4 people, you know, and they'll switch the letters that they do, you know, and they'll switch the couples up or whatever, just to make it interesting. And it does change the dynamic, even though the words on the page are the same. Yep. Who's doing it and what you as an actor or director bring to that, it makes it completely different. And that's what's exciting. Yeah. I don't ever want to copy what somebody else did, you know? It doesn't feel authentic. So to that point, you know, I really do try to stay away. Now, there are times, there are some shows like, let's say, Chorus Line. You got to do the choreography, right? You got to do what audiences are expecting to see from some of those shows.
Sure, exactly.
Wizard of Oz is a great example. That's the last thing I directed. They're going to skip down the yellow brick road. Like, I'm not going to change that because, it's like I'm not going to do something different there because audiences have very strong expectations. But
like doing Les Miserables without the barricade scene, you can't do it.
Exactly. So I think if you have, pay homage to those things that, that the audiences are going to expect, but also like the nice thing about Jekyll and Hyde is they don't have an expectation. A lot of audiences don't know the show.
That's
it was
right.
pretty popular on Broadway. It ran for a few years,
Yep.
but it didn't ever catch on after the fact,
Yeah.
So community theaters kind of did it. Like Midland did it in like 2005, I think, but it hasn't been done since.
Well, if you're not in a rush to get back to your dry ice, I'm going to hold you over for another segment. Hang on.
Yeah, you bet. I'm good.
Good. We'll take a break and be back as we talk to Bill Anderson Jr., who is directing Jekyll and Hyde at the Bay City Players this weekend and next.
Campaign season is funny.
Back with you here on the Art Lewis Show for this Wednesday morning, talking to Bill Anderson Jr., directing Jekyll and Hyde this weekend and next at the Bay City Players. And you can get tickets by going to baycityplayers.org. Click on tickets and you'll be able to find them right there. I want to get down into the weeds a little bit here about these productions and how people get involved, Bill.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Because they all start with a casting call. What does someone who maybe never has been on stage but always wanted to, or someone who's been on stage, what do they need to know about casting calls? What do they need to prepare to come to a casting call to be considered?
That's a great question, and I'm so glad you asked because I'm actually my next gig is directing a production of Come From Away this fall in Midland, which is a newer show and a little bit more of a current show. So it's, I think really a good time for people that may have heard of the show or may want to get involved. It's a great opportunity to do so. And the first thing you need to know is anybody is welcome. Like, we're not, things aren't precast. We're not, like, as a director, I'm totally open to new people. Within Jekyll and Hyde right now, I would say a majority, probably 2/3 at least of the cast I have never worked with as a director, which I absolutely love, right? Because it allows me, the opportunity to, bring some new people in or get to work with new people, but also it gives me the opportunity to get feedback on myself as a director. What worked for you? How welcoming am I for new people? Because I think a lot of times it just seems like we gatekeep a little bit, especially when it comes to auditions. You have to pick your own piece of music or memorize this monologue or something like that. And so there's been a push in all the community theaters recently to try and make it more accessible to people that want to try but are maybe just a little bit nervous. They don't know how to pick their own music. They don't know how to practice, beforehand. They don't know. Maybe they're worried about dancing. If it's a musical, maybe they're not great at it, or they just need a little bit more time to learn. So what most theaters will do is they will put out an audition packet. The director will tell you what to expect from the audition. So, for example, with Jekyll and Hyde, we just said, to prepare a song. If you could either bring your own, if you wanted to sing something of your own, or we provided songs from the show for them to learn with tracks that they could practice with. So they could hear somebody sing it, and then they could use the track and actually practice that singing as well. And then even at the audition, if they wanted to sing with the track, we let them. We want them to be successful, right? The best part about community theaters is we're not professional actors. We're not like... You see your dentist, you see your garbage man, you see your, I think of like the Sesame Street song, These Are the People in Your Neighborhood, are the people that are doing community theater. So we don't want it to be so intimidating. So we're working to make it less so.
Let me ask you this about that, because exactly, it's community theater and it's pulling on the community to fill the roles.
Yeah.
Do any of the community theaters that you know of offer a workshop to prospective actors on how to get ready for an audition, for example?
It's interesting because you'll see that a lot for younger people. An audition workshop for, let's say, the youth theater production that's happening, right?
Yeah.
Come and meet the director and get ready for auditions. And I think you'll see sooner rather than later that we'll start having those for adults more often. Have you ever been curious? Have you ever wondered? In fact, actually, Creative 360 in Midland is trying to put something like that together, basically called I Have Rehearsal. And it would just be something that would allow people the opportunity to come in and see what's it like to be in a show. What am I getting myself into?
Yeah, I've only, other than Love Letters, I've only done one stage production. I did Play It Again, Sam, and I did the Bogart role. And I was a fish out of water in the beginning because I didn't know what to expect. But fortunately for me, I didn't have to audition. I was a friend of the director, and he said, "You're going to play Bogart." I said, "Okay."
Yeah.
But the other thing that people must realize, in my case, it was probably 9 weeks out of my life. And I don't have that kind of time, which is why I haven't done any since. But it was great doing it, but the time consumption is unbelievable.
It is. And you will find that directors are getting better and better about making sure we're not wasting people's time. Back in the day, I say this back in the day, but I do think that there are a lot more external forces, right? A lot of other things that take other people's time than there used to be. And so it is harder to find people to commit. Theater has to change a little bit. We have to change a little bit and be more open to, other non-traditional work schedules would be a really great example. If you're somebody that works in the evening, it's virtually impossible for you to be able to do a show because that's when people rehearse. That's when shows rehearse.
Yeah. And a lot of directors will set up their blocking calls just for individuals that night that are going to be involved.
Right. You don't want to call everybody to just sit around.
Exactly.
There is a time that comes in the process where there is some sitting around. It's just unavoidable. But I think the good directors really do make sure that they're using everybody's time wisely because, again, let's say you're a new person and you start and you work on the show and you're expected to be there for, let's just say, 40 hours, throughout the process, but 29 of those are just sitting around. That can be really frustrating.
All right, hang on one final segment, and we'll be back with Bill Anderson Jr., Jekyll and Hyde at the Bay City Players this weekend and next, and we'll tell you more about it when we come back. Talking to Bill Anderson directing Jekyll and Hyde this weekend for a number of years on Broadway, starring David Hasselhoff. And I got to try something here. And it's funny because you say David Hasselhoff and Broadway and Jekyll and Hyde in the same breath. It's hard to picture him after what he did on TV and everything. But he was pretty good in it, as we're going to find out.
Good night, son. Ooh.
It's part of the dialogue.
You knew my father in his best days.
Let's see if we can...
Be wise in the gullet.
Well, anyway, I was looking for something in particular and couldn't find it.
Yeah, well, and that's sometimes the problem with those Broadway recordings is that they do include so much of the dialogue. Yeah.
Well, this was the whole thing. I mean, this was a Broadway TV thing, so it was.
Oh,
they did
okay.
the whole thing, start to finish. So.
Yeah, and he actually got very good reviews. I think it was kind of surprising that he had the voice that he does, because the voice needed for this role is intense. Maybe there was a time in my life I could have handled it. Not anymore. Those days are gone.
It is demanding. It is demanding on the cast,
it is.
Particularly the leads, because they're out there so much.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so again...
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead. Finish up.
Oh, I was just going to say the role of Lucy is interesting because Linda Eder, who played Lucy, in the original cast recording was the wife of Frank Wildhorn, the composer at the time. So she's got a bunch of solos that go on forever.
Yeah.
And there's this great 11 o'clock number, but again, it's a beast to sing. And we have Megan Krause is playing Lucy, fantastic performer from the Great Lakes Bay Area, has went to school in New York for theater. So truly a triple threat, and she handles it so beautifully, but it is so hard to get through those songs.
Well, everybody can find out for themselves because the production runs this weekend, Friday and Saturday at 7:30, Sunday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then the following weekend, same times, Friday and Saturday and Sunday, at the Bay City Players. You go online to baycityplayers.org, click on tickets, and it'll take you to right where you can buy them. And 2.5 hours worthwhile.
I agree.
Thought you would, Bill.
Yeah.
Kind of thought you
Well,
would. So what do you have? You said you had another one coming up in Midland soon?
Yeah, I'll be directing Come From Away, which is a story about in Newfoundland during 9/11, where all the planes diverted to.
Yeah.
After 9/11 happened. It's a really cool piece, and it was recently had won a bunch of Tony Awards. It was on Broadway, and so a little bit more of a contemporary musical. So far cry from Jekyll and Hyde, very different story, but also really great ensemble piece. So
All right.
audition information will be out next week.
Very good. Bill, thanks for being with us today. Good luck with Jekyll and Hyde.
Thank you so much, Art. I really appreciate the time.
You bet. Have a good one. Bye-bye now.
You too.
Bill Anderson Jr., and he is directing Jekyll and Hyde at the Bay City Players this weekend and next. Back to tell you what's ahead.
Thinking Kia? Think Dalen Kia.
Anyway, that'll do it for the Art Lewis Show. Coming up on Focus, we're going to talk to Jay Sanborn about the upcoming Bay City Rib Fest, the Labadee Rib Fest. And that will follow the news from ABC and the local report. We'll be back with Focus right after that.
Broadcasting from the